A little loud.
A little loud? Okay. How's that? And we're back here to the Trading Post 95.9 KCKL. Going to be handing it off to our good friends here, Mr. Brett and Mr. Shy of Caldwell Banker. What is going on, gentlemen? How are y'all doing this afternoon?
Oh, we are always good. And like I say, good morning to East Texas. And
Good morning, East Texas.
It is
It's gonna be
another
my
beautiful morning here at Cedar Creek Lake.
Yeah, I think the three of us need to get together, and one of us needs to learn how to play an instrument, and we can make this thing a real, like, three-piece band right here, you know?
Well, I have been studying for many years. I've got lots of musician friends.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to try out for backup cowbell for quite a while. I don't want what is it? The responsibility of being the lead cowbell, but I figure I could do backup.
You could do backup for sure. Like a Blue Oyster Cult, like cover band. Like, is that what you're thinking? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so we got backup cowbell. We got like mariachi tuba player here, and I don't know what you play.
I can be the backup producer. I know how to work the switches and stuff. I'll be the backup producer. How about that?
This is the weirdest sounding music.
This is going to be really weird music. All right, guys. Well, anyway, so we're not going to become great musicians, but the thing is, y'all have already become pretty great at something else, and that's buying and selling real estate with Caldwell Banker. So I guess we should maybe stick to that. I'll keep talking in microphones. Y'all keep buying, or helping people buy and sell houses, and I think we'll be more successful that way than going off the music route.
I would agree. Yeah, I can point you to some people to listen to online right now if you would like some good music to enjoy while you're driving around or sitting at home. But please stick to real estate when you call me at this point in my life. And today, like we mentioned earlier, right before the break, we want to talk about what everybody wants to hear about right now, the waterfront market. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to jump right on into a couple of them this morning. And our first one is over at 165 Santa Maria Street. Now, this is going to be over in Delmar Subdivision. That's going to be here in Payne Springs area.
Okay, so that's coming down... Coming from Gun Barrel south on 198, go over the bridge into Payne Springs, and then you turn like you're going to go into Leisureland. Before you get to the big 90-degree turn there by Enchanted Oaks, you turn like you're going to go into Leisureland, go down there, and it's on the left, right?
Correct. Beautiful waterfront subdivision, several amenities there, nice park, playground area, boat launches. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to find a house off water in this subdivision, you can still enjoy the amenities of the lake, but this actually is a waterfront house itself. So it comes complete with the boat dock and the water view there from your own backyard. And this is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, almost 2,200 square foot home with an extra huge upstairs room, which should be another bedroom, big game room for the family. Lots of covered decks on this house, and like we mentioned, your own great view of the lake and boathouse. Wonderful property there in Del Mar.
That's going to be a nice big cove that property's on, right?
Correct.
So that's between the channel and open water. You got enough area where you can get out there any kind of jet ski and regular ski. I don't know if anybody really regular skis that much anymore. There's some. Most people either jet ski or tube or fish.
Yeah, you're not going to catch me out there skiing with this physique right here. No. I am very top heavy. I'm going down.
The big thing I've seen the last year or so is there's like this surfboard that people ride on the wake of the boat without the tow rope. So that's getting to be big. So you can kind of do that in this cove a little bit there. You get a little bit of protection from the big chop and the big waves on some of those days, so you're able to get out a little bit more. But great if you want to get out there to the big open water, real easy out this cove. So great location.
Right, and you can get this property today for only $299,000.
$299. So that's below the 300. What were you saying about the average lake home right now?
Right now, with our current data, it's about $330,000 here at Cedar Creek Lake.
Okay, so this puts you close, but still a little bit below that average, and gets you into a brick home on a nice cove, boathouse, waterfront subdivision, Del Mar. That's Maybank School District, right?
Right.
East Cedar Creek Water. And you've got the POA, not super restrictive in there, but you're not actually in the incorporated city.
Right.
So you've got county restrictions and your POA restrictions, but you don't have to be within the incorporated city.
But you're still close enough to town to enjoy all the amenities around the lake area here.
Yeah,
Right.
right quick into Gun Barrel City or down here to Malakoff, and so go Tigers.
And Panthers, and Panthers.
Yeah, I know the Tigers are getting to be a popular subject of these
Oh, my
last
goodness.
few weeks.
Yes, if y'all watched it, if y'all watched Tiger King.
Oh, yes, we did.
Okay, of course, yeah. We won't get off into that, but just amazing. But anyway.
Yeah, if you haven't, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. I've been telling everybody on this radio wave for about 3 weeks now, like, y'all need to watch it. So, yes.
Well, I have not seen a specific restriction against a tiger in Del Mar.
Or becoming a king.
Or
becoming a king.
Either way. Not saying it's not there. Definitely want to check with the POA on any things not within the normal realm of restrictions. You know, if you've got certain hobbies or things like that, be sure you check with your POA before you purchase property. Make sure it's
Yeah, usually in most POA and city guidelines, you will have some section that talks about your animals. I see very few restrictions against your usual pets, cats, dogs, maybe a parakeet, things like this. When you get into other animals, especially exotic animals, but a chicken's not as exotic, but your farm animals, your exotic animals, these are definitely ones that you may want to call your local city or POA to check for specific restrictions on them.
Okay.
Especially like some of them that kind of bounce in between pet and livestock even these days. You'll want to check on that because some people like to have a chicken or 2 chickens, but it may be restricted because of roosters crowing, things like that, under livestock guidelines. So you want to be sure you check that out as part of your buying process.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, and there's a difference. A lot of people like to have 2 or 3 backyard chickens just for the fresh eggs, and they're kind of like little pets. We like to go out, feed them, watch them, pet them. My daughter used to carry a little chicken around in a basket when she was younger. And so these are things, but if you're wanting to get into chicken production and have thousands of chickens, a waterfront property, for the most part, would probably not be something for you. You may want to look for more acreage type
Probably
situation.
not optimal, but for a pet chicken, should be fine in most cases, but you definitely want to check just because sometimes there are those restrictions and not all POAs are equal. So, what's your next problem?
I'm sorry, I'm cracking up over here. Just the seriousness and the way that you just said, if you got a pet chicken, you need to make sure. If you got a pet chicken,
Well, you
make
never
sure.
know. I mean, I had a client a couple of years ago that these restrictions, sometimes they change and without
Right.
people knowing them. And if you're not keeping up with the city and when they go to the ballots and some of the changes they want to do, you may miss things that are going on. The people, my client, for instance, had horses on the property for years, and they had gotten an inheritance. This was his grandfather's property. He had inherited it, and the grandpa hadn't lived there for a couple of years. He hadn't been down in a couple of years, decided he wanted to sell it. Come to find out, in that amount of time, they had changed some of the restrictions in this particular city and no longer allowed horses inside the city limits. And so that could change a prospective buyer as a thing that you could market out to them.
Sure.
And so we felt that the acreage was big enough, and they'd always had them there, but we had to go look elsewhere and market it just a little bit different at that time.
Gotcha.
And which it's also something to think about. If you're going to become part of a POA, you're part of that group, and things can change. Most POAs, you have a board, you have officers, you have bylaws, you have guidelines. It has to be maintained. It has at least minimum requirements that has to be maintained with the state. And so if you're going to buy into a POA, there's advantages and disadvantages. And you want to be sure that you plan to be at least on some level active within that POA. At minimal, to be sure you're up to date on when the meetings are, when the votes are, what are the issues that are coming up, what are being voted on, and at minimum, get your vote in and be a part of that POA. Because if you're not, and then things change, and you're subject to those changes, and you don't like how they're changed, but you're not active in the POA.
Yeah, you can't really complain too much if you don't, at least do a little bit to try and keep, try and be on your own advocate there. You know what I mean? If you're just kind of belly hollering about it, well, that's not going to do anything for anybody.
So, right. So I guess this is one of our PSAs, not just in the spring and in November, but maybe monthly if you're POA, get out and vote. Yeah, it does make a difference on all levels. Yeah. And don't feel like we're running you off from any specific subdivision. You don't have to worry here at Cedar Creek Lake. With about 400 lakefront subdivisions, we can find you one that fits your particular set of needs.
Yeah. And not every subdivision has a property owners association.
Right.
Some of them do. A lot of them were formed and they had the property owners association, but that's since been disbanded. They have to upkeep certain things with the state, and if not, then the POA disbands. The subdivision stays in place as far as like the platting and things like that, but then if it's not maintained according to those guidelines, that POA goes away, and then it can either completely go away or it becomes optional. They can then have it, still have their officers, still have their meetings, but as far as enforcing the guidelines, they become optional on any given person. So we have subdivisions in the area that their POAs have been completely disbanded. We have ones that are completely fully active. People are very much participate in it. They upkeep everything. And then you have ones that are in between. Either just they're still active, but they minimize, what they do, or they've been technically disbanded as far as being mandatory. They're optional, and they still maintain that optional POA. And so, like, if you want to use the park, the subdivision park that's owned and managed by the POA, and so you want the key to the boat ramp, things like that, then you become a member for minimal amounts. But if you don't want to, you don't have to, type of thing. And so there's a subdivision out there for everybody.
One of the ones that most people are familiar with is probably the Harbor Point subdivision over here in Gun Barrel City.
Sure.
And they had a very active POA for many years, and they chose to disband several years ago. Now, they still do have a POA, and just like you said, if you would like to join and be a part of that and help out the community and also have access to the boat launch and the park area that they have, that is still an option, and it's very reasonably priced to be a part of the POA. But when they chose to disband, now they fall under, for instance, building guidelines, just the city of Gun Barrel's building restrictions, which in some cases can be good for a client, because instead of having to look at two different options, now you just have to follow the city of Gun Barrel rather than them and the POA and see how they overlap.
But Harbor Point's an interesting one because when they disbanded, you have Harbor Point, and you had it as mandatory, and so you had to abide by those POA guidelines. When it dropped down a level, it now became optional. You can become a part of it. But the POA, most of the subdivision, which you've got subdivision and POA, and sometimes they're mutually exclusive. Part of the subdivision, the big majority of it, is within Gun Barrel City's jurisdiction. So even though you're not under the POA guidelines, you're under the city restrictions, which can be very good in many cases. But you have a part on the north side up there by the airport. Yes, Harbor Point has an airport, if you didn't know. And right up there by the airport, there's a part of it that's not part of the city of Gun Barrel. It's county. So you can be a part of the POA if you want to, or not. But if you're not, in that section, you're not under the Gun Barrel city guidelines. You're just under county restrictions.
And can I ask one quick question that I just don't really know the difference of? What's the difference in a POA and an HOA?
Okay. POA is Property Owners Association.
Right.
HOA is Homeowners Association.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing, but it's splitting hairs on minimal things. Homeowners Associations typically deal with a subdivision that's developed out, and the developer develops the land and builds all the home packages. So as a buyer, you don't get to buy initially into that subdivision and just buy a piece of land and just keep the lot empty. A lot of the builders will say you have to start construction within 6 months. Some of the builders will even say if you buy a lot within this subdivision, you can only have the house built by the builder who is the developer.
Gotcha.
And so the only way in is to purchase a house with the package, and so it is a straight homeowners association, because owning a home is the only way to own real estate in there. Property owners associations are typically from many years back, when, like a lot of the lake area around here, you could buy your lots, but you didn't have a requirement to start a house within a certain time or have to build a house with the developer. So you'll see a lot of the subdivisions around the area that they have blank lots that were sold years and years ago that have never had a house on them. And so since it doesn't have a home, it's just property, and so you're a property owners association, which is a little bit more general. It can have a house or not have a house.
Gotcha. So like, what am I? Lennar or DR Horton or one of these guys come in, put in a big giant subdivision.
Yeah.
It's going to be an HOA, but if it's a kind of build your own at your own leisure kind of thing, it's going to be a POA. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of splitting hairs there, and you've got a COA, condominium owners association. So you get into condominiums, and you have an owners association, but it's dealing specifically with condos.
Okay.
Because you're not buying a specific platted lot. You're buying, really with a condo, you kind of buy airspace is what you buy. The association owns the majority of the building and the property, and you own a type of undivided interest within that. But your specific real estate ownership has to do with the airspace in between your walls. And depending on the condo that you're in, will depend on whether you just own the straight air or like up to the sheetrock or mid part of the wall. It's splitting hairs there, but that's where that gets into. But the general part of it, the owners association, is fairly similar. It has to do with bylaws, how you have to upkeep a property, permitting, how you build, restrictions, things like that.
Yeah, and the condos is more of a communal type living, where the HOAs and the POAs, a lot of times like here at the lake, you don't technically own the waterfront itself at the 325 line. Everything below that is owned by Tarrant County, but you can own down to the waterfront. You can own your own boat dock that extends from the shoreline, whereas the condominiums, a lot of times the boat docks, the pool areas, it's a communal type ownership of that land.
Gotcha. This was an issue that had been discussed here locally over the past few years with the condo complexes, especially because we have actual waterfront condo complexes in the area. But unlike like this property here, Del Mar, where you buy your waterfront lot and your actual land goes down to the 325 flood line, where Tarrant Regional's land picks up, but you have possession there of that, and you get to use their land out there. In a condo complex, which condos are waterfront and which aren't? Because technically you own like inside the condo, but the outside of the building is owned by the association, and the land out your back door down to the lake is owned by the association. So you have this land that's owned with an undivided interest between all the condos.
Right.
Between yours that has a water view, technically you're the waterfront one, and the water down there. So anybody from the association can technically walk on that grass. It's not your straight backyard. So is it just the ones that look at the water that are waterfront, or are all the condos, even this guy up here on the hill, because he has an undivided interest in that land down there, is he a waterfront condo too because he's within that complex? So
yeah, that's what became the point of contention, is the condo association itself, the entire association is waterfront, but what's the difference between the association and the singular condo?
That is you see, that's why I do radio and I don't get into real estate and all that kind of stuff, because that is tricky.
Yeah, and so at a certain point, you've got options, but somebody has to make a decision and say you have different options, which are all legitimate on whichever way you can go, but somebody has to make a decision. And so one of the ways the board got together and settled it for now was to actually just say, okay, these specific units, we're just going to say, we're going to look at them as like a complex, each complex individually, and then say these units within this complex are the waterfront ones, these aren't. Rather than trying to create a guideline and you determine yourself, does this fit within this guideline or not, we're just going to label which one here. Units A, B, and C, these are waterfront. D, E, and F are the off waters.
Gotcha.
And so that's just where it sits right now.
Yes, sir. Well, speaking of waterfronts, I know that's the topic of today, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are itching to maybe get in one. I see you got a few more over there.
Yeah, and our next one, since we were talking about gun barrel just a second ago, I want to mention another one that's over in the gun barrel area.
Sure.
Also another one not in the city of Gun Barrel itself. This is going to be a county property in a POA down the street, located just outside of Gun Barrel, on the waterfront, but not actually having to follow the city of Gun Barrel guidelines. And this one is at 239 South Lake. This is over in the Oak Harbor subdivision. Everybody knows where this area is, just down the road from the Taco Bell there.
Okay, so you got the Taco Bell, and right across the street is Welch Lane, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you go down Welch almost to the end,
Almost.
and you'll see Oak Harbor's sign, big sign right there on the right.
One of the biggest subdivision signs in the entire lake area here.
Okay.
So very easy to find on your right when you get down there, and just follow the shoreline around once you get in there. And what we got here is a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 2,330 square foot home.
That's a nice size home.
Big home. Looking out at the open water out there. It has also been updated. New granite, new stainless appliances, fully furnished. So just bring your toothbrush. This one. The covered porches to look out over the water. I'll say it again. Probably my favorite part of the house there. And lots of storage area here.
Yeah, and that's one thing, until you really experience it on a waterfront home, you don't know how much that nice back deck and that covered porch, covered back deck is really just so fantastic whenever you have a waterfront home. It really is. It's worth going and seeing this, and on your showing, take 5, 10, 15 minutes and just sit out there on that back porch for a few minutes and enjoy it. Enjoy it on the showing and really see how much you really are going to like that covered back patio.
Bring 2 glasses, some ice, and some sweet tea, and sit on the porch and see how that does you for a while.
I mean, I was out showing waterfront homes yesterday morning, and that's one thing I talk about with my clients a lot is, you're buying the water here. That's what you're looking for in this house. If you weren't wanting the water view or the accessibility for going boating and stuff, you would just come by up in town in Maybank next to me there. But you're wanting to get here on the water, so enjoying some of these spots, seeing how it would feel to sit in that spot and enjoy the water view. And think about some things like most houses cannot be built to where every room in the house faces the water. It's almost an impossibility on most lots around here. And so while we do want to have things like our master bedroom with that nice water view, we have to also consider how much time am I going to spend in my bedroom looking out at the lake versus maybe my kitchen or my living room, and see which one is more important to have the orientation towards the water even.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to think about whenever you're out here looking at the houses. And there's a process to the buying process. You get with your realtor, you get your lending set up, you get your wants, needs, and desires list going. You get your Ben Franklin list going. Then you start looking through the MLS and figuring out what properties meet those wants, needs, and desires. And then you get finally to, we're out here looking at properties. And so like Brett says, most properties out here are not oriented to where every room in the house looks at that waterfront. So that's something to think about just with your personal lifestyle. Okay, am I one of those people that are going to wake up, but I really like spending time in my master bedroom, and so I'm going to be the type that's going to wake up on the weekend, but I'm going to sit there and maybe have breakfast in bed and watch my cartoons and stuff, but I'm going to sit there in bed in the morning or the evening and really just enjoy that water view snuggled up in the covers. If that's the type of lifestyle, that's a nice lifestyle, you want to be sure that that master bedroom has that great view. But for some of us, when we wake up, we've had our time in the bed sleeping. We're up, we're off to the races. So get up, get showered. And so most of my waking hours are going to be spent in the living room. Well, if most of my waking hours are going to be spent in the living room enjoying that waterfront view, if I'm one of these people that just doesn't sit in bed, I may sit in my recliner, sit on the couch. Well, I want to be sure that that living room has that great water view, and I may want my bedroom situated maybe even off the water view, because depending on where the sun rises or the sun sets, I may not want that sunrise or sunset coming into that bedroom. So I may want one of these houses that the master is oriented otherwise and maximizes my living room, maximizes my back porch. And that's even a thing to think about. If you've got a back porch and you've got your master bedroom on that porch side on that waterfront house, but you're somebody that likes a lot of guests, and so when they're going to be down on the weekend, if you maybe want to go to bed earlier, they're out here sitting on the back porch while you're in bed. So it's things to think about. Orientation of that house versus how do I live my life?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Y'all are like the Joe Buck and Troy Aikman of real estate radio. You know that? You got Brett, he gives you the stuff. You then Shy fills you in the details, gives you the, I don't want to say fluff, but gives you the extras. There we go. You know what I mean? It's y'all are just awesome. But anyway, I don't mean to keep stopping now. Continue on.
And before we get too far on that one, that lovely property you can get for only $280,000 today.
Wow, that is good.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on. I got a few more I want to get to here. Next one's over at 101 Royal Circle. It's going to be on the west side of the lake over there in Lakeway Estates. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,983 square foot. Also recently updated home with new flooring, granite countertops, appliances. This home is very unique because this home is fully ADA compliant. From the street to the water. And so if anybody is in need of a home such as this one is ready to go to help you.
I've walked up and down those ramps at that house, and I'll tell you, some people want, some people need an ADA compliant. And I'll tell you, I'm a fan of the ADA compliant. Even though I may not need it most of the time, I really like it. It really just changes the way you move and flow around the property.
And it sets you up for anybody can come, for holidays and that kind of thing. Anybody can come over to the house. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get Aunt Gertrude up and down and around and through. I don't mean to keep going on here, guys, but I had an Uncle Eddie. He was my grandfather's uncle, my mom's dad's uncle, or brother, whatever. But anyway, he was a war veteran, and he was missing 2 legs. I mean, it was other things that, war may have started it, but then later on, that's kind of, he lost both of his legs, and it was always, hey, we got 2 or 3 steps, we've got to get 3 or 4 guys around, lift the wheelchair up. Then there was a couple of steps up into the living room. So then when we're going to the living room, we got to get somebody to bring it. So these are the kind of things you can avoid and make it very easy and make it make life a lot easier for any disabled folks that you do have in your family. And again, if you're the one that's hosting Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, any of this kind of stuff, these are little ancillary type things that you could be thinking about. This may not be the home you were thinking about at first, but it may be calling out to you, and there's perfect purpose for it. I think it's a great way to go about it, to always think about those kind of things and think about your future. If you're 60, 65, 70, and you got a bad knee when you played football back in the day, think about this. In 10, 15 years, if you need a wheelchair, it's going to be easier for you, and you won't have to move. So,
and this was a great one. This wasn't just designed by some builder that was trying to set it up this way for ease. The actual seller of the home was in need of this type of setup, and so it was designed from his point of view. And so really made the home very functional there.
Yeah, so this is more than just some wheelchair ramps on the deck. This is an actual ADA compliant house.
Correct.
So not something that you find very often.
Right.
So how much is that one going for, Brett?
That one's going for only $300,000 today.
$300,000, waterfront, ADA compliant house. Great subdivision over there on the west side of the lake. So
correct.
That's a good buy.
That is a great buy.
All right, we'll get to our next one. It's at 18060. This is over on County Road 2509. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. It's 1,056 square foot. So the unique home, it was kind of built like a lot of the homes were built at the early lake times. Home was built up on stilts. Since they've enclosed the bottom area, not fully living quarters at the time, but it is enclosed, so it'd be good storage, and is already getting set up that if you wanted to do some remodeling and turn it into more living area, we're getting close to that. It also comes with a 40 by 40 foot workshop that does have electric to it, sitting on open water with a small metal pier, and you can get all this one today for only $295,500.
$295. So you're getting several of them here today that are under that $300 price point.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, most of these, only one of them is going to be above that $300 price point today, and we're going to close out with that one here in just a minute.
So we got 3 more real quick you got to get to?
Right. Our next one is over at 6958 Double Bridge Road here in Paine Springs. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,824 square foot home. This is sitting on acreage, about 3 1/3 acres there. Big enough it has its own pond on the waterfront with its own pond on the property.
So it's waterfront on waterfront.
Correct. So beautiful house with a boat dock for only $239,000 today. Once again, acreage on the water is a little harder to find than just your standard home out there.
And how many acres is that one more time?
That's about 3 1/3 acres there.
3 1/3 acres with waterfront on the waterfront. It's got a pond on the waterfront with a dock. $239?
For only $239.
$239. Wow.
Right. Next one, back over in Gun Barrel City here. Probably should have wrapped this with all the other gun barrels, but 139 Autumnwood Trail over here in the Metal Manor Subdivision.
Okay.
A 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,800 square foot home here with a 2-car garage. It's huge yard. This one's going to be able to channel, but it's got a boathouse there with it, a single slip boathouse. Once again, large yard. And right down the street from the park. So not only do you have your personal boathouse that you can take your boat out from, if you're needing to get your boat in and out for maybe servicing or have a friend bringing their boat over, just down the street from the POA park there as well.
And this one's on a nice channel. And I want to extol a little bit of the virtues of a channel. Sometimes the water view isn't what's important to me. I like getting out on the water, but whenever I'm getting out or coming in, I like it to be reasonably calm and easy to navigate and easy to launch and recapture my boat. A lot of our clients have said, they've had their houses out on the water, out on the big open water, and they've enjoyed every bit of it. But then after several years, they've enjoyed that and they decide to move onto these channels. The channels are very popular with a lot of people around the area. Much like down there at the coast, you have the, the Intercoastal Waterway. And so a lot of people are on that Intercoastal Waterway, which gives them a lot of protection for their boat and equipment and everything like that. So and this is on a nice channel here.
There are some people, we've had some clients that do take their boat out 52 weekends a year, but most people do not. There is a season where they do the majority of their boating. And so a lot of people do like to have that ability to pull it out maybe in the winter, to do some maintenance, do some cleaning, things like that. It really is an extra luxury for them.
Yeah, very nice property. What next you got?
Well, I want to say you can get that one for only $225,000 today.
$225,000. So not under the $300, under the $250, you're at $225,000.
$225,000. I think very good price for this property here.
Especially right there in that Gun Barrel City area and Mantle Manors. That's a really good price for that.
Yeah, and I want to close this out. One more property here. This is going to be over at Cedar Creek Country Club, which is going to be the north side of the lake there. Very nice waterfront subdivision with all the amenities you can think of, with the clubhouse, the tennis courts, the golf course. It's just got a little bit of everything for everybody. And this is at 18576 Marina Drive. This is a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2,696 square foot home. It's got stained concrete floors throughout. I was just over in this house yesterday. Beautiful home, huge walk-in pantry. I'm talking huge walk-in pantry. If you're a person that likes to cook, you got enough storage for all your food and appliances and different kitchen gadgets in there.
Ooh, sounds like a place for me.
2 enclosed patios out back. You've got one coming right off the living room, dining area, and one off the master bedroom. So if you're one of the people that was trying to decide, do I spend most of my time from the bedroom or from the living room looking at the water, you've got an enclosed porch from either side on this one. Nice big boat dock with a party deck to sit out in the sun and look down at the water there. This one is going for only $479,000 today.
$479 for that. That's remarkable.
Beautiful home, huge home.
Huge home.
Yeah.
Big size kitchen.
Yeah, big size kitchen. This is
Big
a
size
nice
kitchen.
property, like I said, right there, right off the golf course, right on the water. Beautiful home today.
Yeah, that's a good one to get, team. Properties like that, I mean, when you see them, you see that 479. You see every dollar's worth in there. I mean, it's a few nickels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. It's a few nickels, but value oriented. Go see this one and see what you're getting for that 479. I tell you, it's money well spent. It's money well spent for that one.
I know my clients enjoyed looking at it yesterday.
Yeah.
And tell me one more time, where was that one at?
This one's over in the Cedar Creek Country Club at 18576 Marina Drive.
There we go.
And I mean, that's just right there, real close to the clubhouse right there, real close to the tennis courts, and you're right out on the golf course real easy.
Yeah, easy access out to 175 if you're one of these people that's still commuting back and forth to work and things like that. So, yeah, just perfect location here at the lake.
You can walk to dinner. It's great. It's great. So.
Excellent. Well, it's a bunch of good stuff y'all got today, guys. A bunch of good stuff, man.
Yeah, I wish we had time to go through a whole list of waterfronts. We always just have to pick and choose. But
Right.
if you're interested in any of these properties here, or maybe some other ones that we weren't able to get to today, you can always give one of our wonderful agents a call. They're at 903-887-7055, located right there in the heart of Gun Barrel City at 600 West Main. Big blue roof building. You can't miss us.
It's right across from O'Reilly Auto Parts, there by the First Baptist Church. Yeah, we still got agents working every day. Just stop in, give us a call there, or how do they get a hold of you, Brett?
You can give me a call anytime at 903-340-6301, or like most of my clients right now are contacting me through my Facebook business page at Brett Killian, Coldwell Banker, American Dream Realty.
Yep.
Or I'm shy, just start typing in on that old good face space, SHAIBEN, Realtor, Coldwell Banker, ADR, and I will pop up. There's not a lot of us out there.
Right.
So that, or give me a call, 903-340-6159. And a shameless plug real quick. We were talking a lot about these wood decks and even like the ADA compliant wood deck. If you're looking for a wood deck, either you want a new one or you've got one, maybe got a little bit of age that needs to be replaced, needs a little repair, wants some expansion, give Larry Killian at Killian Construction a call at 903-340-6244. Master carpenter, been a contractor around this lake before there was a lake. The lake came to him. They built the lake where he used to hunt and play and bale hay. So,
Gotcha.
So they did that. He's been around. He's not going anywhere. Great contractor. Really focusing on the wood decks, and people are really enjoying what he's building out there. Give him a call. He can show you a lot of the pictures. He was showing me one he just completed over in Bear Creek. Just absolutely beautiful, the work he's doing on those right now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to get one of these wood decks on the back of your lakefront house to sit and enjoy that waterfront view.
Also, decks are the subject of one of my favorite Saturday Night Live recurring episode comedies. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Oh, yeah.
It's good stuff. All right, well, guys, of course, as we like to say, when Brett and Shy are around, well, really any of the guys from Coldwell Banker are around, it's not just a conversation, it's an education. Thank you guys for coming on and hanging out with us today. Always laying down that great real estate knowledge.
No, thanks for having us.
Hey, 100%. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We'll get back into the buying, selling, and trading right